Welcome to Keeping It Real, the largest podcast made for real estate agents and by real estate agents. My name is DJ Paris. I'm your guide and host through the show. Today, once again, is our monthly series called the Monday Market Minute with Carrie McCormick from the Carrie McCormick Real Estate Group here in Chicago with At Properties Christie's International. Carrie is a top 1% producer in Chicago with over 20 years of experience helping buyers, sellers, and investors. In fact, in the past 12 months, out of 46,000 real estate agents in the Chicagoland area, Carrie is currently ranked number 5 in production. She's a true superstar and an expert in everything from first-time home buyers, veteran investors, and luxury properties. She also works with a lot of developers and is often chosen to represent their high-end developments. I live in a Carrie McCormick represented development. Please visit Carrie at her website, carriemccormickre.com. But if you really want to see the magic of Carrie McCormick, check out her social media. Instagram in particular, she is unbelievable there and really sets the standard for what agents aspire to with their social media. So Carrie McCormick Real Estate is where you find that on Instagram. Let her know what you think of her Instagram. She does it all herself, which is even the more impressive. Carrie, welcome once again to the show.
Thank you so much. Happy fall.
When people find out that you and I have this monthly series, I get a lot of, ooh, can you ask her this? Can you ask her that? And I think oftentimes what people don't realize about someone like yourself who has been in the business for so long is just how much time you put into your business. I don't know if you keep an estimate, but if you were to just suggest, like, are you working 5 days a week, 6 days a week, 7 days a week? What does your typical week sort of look like?
It's definitely a 7-day-a-week job for the last 20 years. There's no days off. I mean,
Yeah.
it's one of those industries that we are a service, we're in service. So it's, people buy homes Monday through Sunday. So
Yep.
it doesn't stop. So, but that's a choice, right? I think all realtors, I've called some brokers and their voicemails will say, I don't answer my phone after 5, don't expect a call back till tomorrow. Again, you run your business how you want to run your business. But, my tagline is 100% Carrie. I'm available to you all the time. And, it's just, I'm a very impatient person myself. And when I want something or need something, I want it answered right away. It's just, that's my personality. And, if someone's not going to respond to me, I don't mean like within seconds, but, if they don't respond to me promptly, I'll move on, something else.
You currently have, and this may even not be completely accurate, but I can see at least 50 active listings currently, which is incredible. 13 are under contract as well. So congratulations there. How easy or challenging, it's got to be challenging, is it to manage 50 listings?
I've built such a great system, a foundation to my business, and I've got an incredible team of people that work with me. I have 4, we'll call them support staff, that support my business and my mission and, everything I stand for. And, they do an incredible job. It's definitely not something I could do solo by myself, even though I'm a solo agent. I'm the producer of the team and the leader of the team, of course, and they support my business. So again, without them, I wouldn't be able to do it. So having the right people is important.
It is. We should also mention to all of our listeners, you win all of your business. So this is not, your team is not also helping you get business. So you are the rainmaker, but you are also actively involved because it is really just you out there face to face. So unbelievable. We are always so impressed with everything Carrie does. What do we want to talk about today?
So I thought, we're, headed into the last quarter of 20, or what year are we? 2024. So, really just kind of thinking about listing presentations, because that's the core of the business, right? Is
Yep.
listings.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel that everyone has upped their game to some degree this year. And as our industries change, just, having a lockdown listing presentation, and mine always evolves, I will say. I know what works, I know what doesn't work. Um, but I think, this year I'm going to change, or for 2025, I'm going to change it a little bit. So I was kind of reflecting on the process of the listing presentation. And there's some very basic things. I called it like the minimum marketing package that every real estate agent offers, right? So if you go into a listing presentation and say, I'm going to put a sign in your yard, I'm going to do postcards, I'm going to host an open house, I'm going to take photos, like these are things that, I mean, it's kind of a gift, right? That's a standard package that
Hmm.
every real estate agent should offer, yet I still think a lot of agents go into a listing presentation saying these things, right? So
Hmm.
if you're competing against, um, and sometimes I do, I'm competing against 3 to 5 other agents,
Sure.
right? And again, if we all came in there and said that same thing, to me, it's not really exciting, right?
Yeah.
And
Right.
so, and again, you got to put yourself in the consumer shoes. They don't know. They're like, oh, you're going to do an open house. That's great. And if I'm number 3 on the list of coming in, they're going to hear the same thing over and over again. It's not going to be that exciting. So um, I think sharing with a seller, again, you can go through, the basics and maybe just let them know this is a very given, marketing that we're going to do for you because every agent does that, right? But let's
Hmm.
really kind of talk about why I'm sitting here and what
Yeah.
I am going to do that's different than any other agent, right? Again, we're going to do the signs. Don't worry. We're going to do the postcards, da, da, da. We're going to do that. But what am I going to do? And one thing that no other agent can compete with is you as a person, right?
Hmm.
How hard you're going to work, right? So think about for those of my age and older, you remember the old Rolodex, right? That people would have on their
Sure.
desk and it had all your contacts in there. Um, you know, last 20 years, I think I built an incredible Rolodex, if you will, right? And my Rolodex doesn't compete with somebody else's Rolodex. So having built those relationships with people and reputation over the last how many years you're in the business is so important, right? Because um, having those contacts and their reputation is so important. But the other thing is social media because that's becoming forefront in our industry, right?
Hmm.
How we're selling homes, and it's really become like a billboard of the home now, where photography was so important, right? And people flip to the photos, but now it's moving. We'll always have photography, but it's moving to video, right? So video is expensive, right? And, so I think everyone going into 2025 is going to have to put a certain amount aside for
Hmm.
their budget for video. But what video does is it tells the story of the home, right? Unlike what the photograph is still, and you get one perspective of the home. Video is going to tell that story. And how we as brokers communicate and tell the story of that property is going to be the engaging part of that and get to the buyers, right? I always say I love the brokers in my community. I don't necessarily need to sell to the brokers in my community.
Right.
What I need to sell to is the consumer, right? And we always talked about, I'm in Chicago, but selling local real estate. I don't think that's true anymore. I don't think this business is super hyper local anymore. I think it has become so national because
Yeah.
everyone's moving. The last couple of transactions I've done are people coming in from California, it's someone coming in from Nashville, it's someone coming in from Boston yesterday, London. So I'm seeing people in from all over the place. And so that's why, again, when we do our marketing, when we do the videos, I have to speak to the consumer, right?
Hmm.
Pull them in. And it's an emotional transaction, right? Of course, it's a necessity of buying a home. You need a home, you need a place to live. But again, it's pulling on the emotions of that person and also talking about the attributes of the home, how I communicate, how I tell the story, what points of the home I'm going to highlight is going to engage that consumer. So I think, again, the video is going to be so important.
Mm.
Once you create that video, right, is where are you going to put it? How are you going to communicate that? And this is going back to the listing presentation. This is what you need to tell your sellers is yes, agent A, B, and C, they're going to also do videos, but great. What are they going to do with the video?
Right.
They're producing the video? What is their music to their video? How are they articulating your home? How do we, come up with the storytelling of your home? So it's how are you going to be different in that capacity? What platforms have you built to put the video on? So, you talked about Instagram at the beginning, YouTube, uh,
Yeah.
LinkedIn, all of these platforms have a different audience, right? And who's watching. So you need to optimize the videos for those platforms. It's not as easy as you think it is, right? I mean, there's a lot of production that goes into this, and that's what a seller wants to hear is, again, how are you going to market my property? Why are you different? And why should I trust you? And more importantly, why should I, you know,
Yeah, and everybody wants the white glove experience, right? Whether it's a $300,000 starter condo to mega $1 million single
right,
family home. These everybody wants to feel like they are getting the Ritz Carlton treatment or the Waldorf Astoria treatment, and video is a great way to showcase that. And you put a lot of production
mm,
value into your videos, and obviously they have a lot of engagement on social media, but also I would think it would be really cool for a homeowner to see the story of their home being played out in a video that you're producing. So you going into a listing presentation say, I want to know the story of this home, I want to hear all about it because I need to sell this story to the public.
right,
And that is a really unique value proposition, right? Yeah, we're going to do all the marketing like you said, we're going to build you a website, and we're going to get it all out there. And what I really want to do is have a nice little piece that I can fire out to people in social media and in my circles, that they can see the majesty of
right,
this property.
right.
Uh, and have you ever? I'm curious. Have you ever made a video before winning a listing? Has that ever happened where you were able to, do a mock-up, or I guess you could just show a previous video? This is what I've done for a
Right.
similar property in the past, and your videos are so cool.
Yeah, no, I've not. I mean, that's an interesting idea. But I haven't gotten into the house, so it's
You'd have to fly a drone around the
well,
property or something.
add at that too. It is interesting of just people's privacy and
Yeah,
whatnot.
right.
Obviously, I have a ton of just different examples of videos that I can show to them. Um, the other thing I was going to talk about is connection with the buying broker. So I primarily do a lot of listings, right? And I'm a listing broker. And one thing I think we forget about is when a buyer comes into the home, once I'm kind of going off the whole listing presentation thing, but once a buyer comes into the home, is having a good relationship with that buyer's broker. That buyer's broker is so key into the
Yeah.
transaction, right? Because, I mean, I have so many examples, but um, I'll just give one recently that the buyer came into the home and the buyer loved the home. And that's my opportunity to talk directly to the buyer, right? I don't represent the buyer, but now
Right.
I'm face to face doing the showing. I'm able to, again, communicate the value of the home, communicate all the bells and whistles, and watch emotionally how this buyer is so connected to this home, right?
Hmm.
The agent, um, I'm just trying to think how to say it. The the agent prior to the listing, the agent asked me about the commission. And I didn't give her a straight answer because I didn't know yet what the seller's going to offer. So I think in
Hmm.
her mind, she doesn't know how much she's going to get paid.
Sure.
So during the showing, the agent's telling the buyer, well, I like this other house better for you. And my point in saying this is, I pulled the agent aside and I just said, you know, again, just kind of talking about, this is about the buyer. This is not about me. This is not about you as an agent. Um, but tell me why you're saying this. Why is the other house better? So we kind of had a side conversation. But again, my point in saying this is winning over a buyer's agent too during these listing appointments is key, because when they leave the house and I have no more control over that buyer or influence in that buyer, that agent is going to be the one, right, talking to that buyer. So again, having good relationships with these brokers having a professional relationship, if you will, is absolutely key in closing the deal. I know we kind of started with the listing appointment, but um, having that relationship is important. Also, sorry, I'm kind of rambling, but kind of going back to the listing presentation and the videos, a lot of buyers will reach out to me because they have seen the video, right? They've seen it on Instagram,
Sure.
TikTok, wherever they've seen it. And they'll reach out to me directly and they'll say, oh, I just, tell me about the home that you just posted. And I tell them, and they're like, well, I'm going to have my agent reach out to you to schedule a showing. Fantastic. Again, purpose of the video is to reach the consumer,
Yeah.
get the consumer engaged, have the broker come, along with, and my job again is now to reassure the broker, again, we got the buyer, let's work this together, right? And again, at the end of the day, we want to make sure that the buyer gets what they want and the seller gets what they want, and it's a win-win. This is not a battle of us as brokers. It's creating a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, I was thinking that, once you've done one of these really nice video production, a nice video production for a one of your properties, especially a high net worth property, you then can utilize that in all your marketing when you're meeting with a listing or meeting with a seller. You can also really begin to share all of that information. So I think going back to like how do we differentiate ourselves, I heard a couple of things. One is yes, we're going to do all the things that all the other agents do, and we're going to really sell the home on what's specific about the home, what's unique about the home, how do we reach the consumer, and also how do we reach the agents who represent those consumers.
Right.
And it seems like there's just a lot of activity there, and I think for especially higher priced properties, you do have to sort of find the buyer as the listing agent, right? Or you at least have to know who the brokers are in the area, the agents in the area who represent people of those high net worth means. And those are the ones you kind of have to win over. Is that accurate?
100%. And again, everyone wants a smooth transaction. So being able to, just focus on the buyers, that's really my number one thing is finding the buyers, right? If they have a broker, fantastic. I want to work with that and collaborate, of course, with the brokers. But having a good reputation in the marketplace, and again, I've been doing this for so long. Um, Hopefully if you polled 50 brokers and asked about my name, 49 would probably say, I'm a nice person, and I try to be. There's always the one but that you have to have a good reputation in your marketplace to get things done.
Yeah, I like the idea of really differentiating yourself and playing nice in the sandbox and realizing that listings come and go and clients come and go, and sometimes you end up on the winning side of it and sometimes you don't. And also just sort of shaking yourself off. I often think that really successful agents like yourself probably fail more than the average agent because you do so much activity
Mm-hmm.
that people see your successes. And I don't mean failure as in a bad way. I just
Oh,
mean
totally.
things don't always fall your way. And
Right.
I bet you actually probably lose more listings than the average agent because you're willing to put yourself out there. And it's also the reason why you have 50 listings right now is because you're doing a lot of listing. I don't think most agents have 20 listing appointments per month. If they do, great. But Carrie does. And so she's constantly out there doing it. I always heard this expression, even if you don't improve any part of your technique or your skill set, if you just double your activity, in theory, you should be able to double your production, right? So,
100%.
and of course, you want to get better. But I think there's a misnomer that somebody like yourself just everything falls your way. You just win everything. No, you're working 7 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
You are on top of it to a degree that I've never seen another agent, and you have to be because of the
Mm-hmm.
demands of this job. And as a result, the rewards are amazing, but it does not. There's probably easier ways to make money. I'm guessing if
There
you really
probably
wanted to.
is. But I will say I really am obsessed with my job.
Yeah.
I really live and breathe what I do, and it's important to me. Um, it's not about always about the numbers, and I think that's kind of where too. When I let go of, I'm just trying to think how to say this. When I let go of like wanting to be at the top, or when I
Yeah.
let go of, like, the numbers. And I know that's kind of hard to say, but when you really focus on what is truly important, which is doing an incredible job, providing service, clients getting the homes that they want, doing the right thing, it really just kind of it comes to you, right?
Yeah.
So, but it's a lot of hard work, and yes, it's we win some and we lose some. So.
Yeah, it's the amount of activity you do is truly truly remarkable. I mean, just today, how many clients are you reaching out to, or are you working with just today alone? Just out of curiosity, how many appointments? I know you must have a bunch.
Well, I do have a time block this afternoon that I'm gonna reach out to all of my current clients just to give, like, a little market update, so
Wow.
that's my afternoon. But it's not a lot of work for me, just because I know the market so well and what's moving and what's not moving. Because again, it's studying. This
Yeah.
goes back to school, right? Like, it's every day I study the market to see what's selling, what's not selling. I talk to brokers at I'm in the field, so I hear it, I feel it. So it's easy for me to communicate that to them. Um, but sometimes I have to communicate bad news to people. And I
Hmm.
have that call this morning with somebody. And one of my clients, and I always learn from all of my clients too, because, especially, everyone's successful in their own field. So I always learn, when I sit down with a client, but he was or is a financial advisor, a very, very, very successful financial advisor. And what he said to me in a very stern voice was, tell me the truth and tell me the number that it is, even if you think I don't want to hear it, because I need
Right.
to make a decision. And I cannot make a decision if I don't have accurate numbers. And you think
Hmm.
about that with a doctor. If you go to a doctor and
Yep.
say, what's this bump? And what is this on my hand? And they want to sugarcoat it and say, oh, it's nothing. Then you make a decision based on that doctor saying it's nothing. But if the doctor tells you the truth of what this is, can then react and do something accordingly to make the right decision. So, there's a lot of agents where and, I've fallen into this category too, where you're just like, that they want to hear a certain number, and you tell them that, and they've got all these hopes up, and then it fails, right? Because you weren't truthful. So I had to have that call this morning. Again, this other gentleman's a financial advisor as well. And I told him that. I said, my job is to tell you the facts, and this is a conversation between you and I. This is the fact of where your property sits in the market and where it's going to trade. You now have a choice. Either we move forward with that number, or you hold it until you're ready to, face the music, basically, or
Sure.
or rent it, or here's some other options for you. And he was mad. He was
Mm.
really mad, but at the end of the conversation, it ended very nicely, where he said thank you. He's like, let me think about it, but you're right. I mean, this is you're showing me, not only it's me giving the numbers, but it's here's the data to support that. And it's not a fun conversation to have.
No, and the anger isn't towards you. It's just anger at the information. Oh, I wish it was higher. I wish I could sell it for more. Everybody wants that, sure, and everybody's wants to sell their home for a profit, and we all want to hear a number that is psychologically satisfying to us, and we also need to know the truth. And especially really successful people, I think they may react to the news and also appreciate the fact that you're confident enough and willing to tell them what they might not want to hear. And probably that separates you from a lot of agents just in and of itself.
Well, that's where sometimes I lose the deal, though, or I'll lose the listing because they don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
So, but I know, well, it's just, we do.
Yeah, I don't, and those listings are tough when you lose them because you don't have the same number in mind that they have in mind, and you'd be fighting that battle the entire process most likely, right? So you're confident in your skill set, and the good news is lots of people seem to want to work with you because of how confident you are in your numbers. It's not just I have this great awesome video production company that I work with, but it does help to have these sort of assets, these digital assets that you can say, this is what I do for my clients. And I love the idea of the story selling approach. I going all the way back to that first idea of
Mhm.
tell me the story of this home. Why did you buy it? What's unique about it? Tell me the cool stuff about it, because I'm going to feature that and I'm going to get this out in the world. And I've been, what I really want to do is anyone can find this home on Zillow, anyone can find it on Redfin or any of the other client facing websites. And I still need to go out and find the buyer. And I'm going to do it through all these different channels. And we're going to do it in a unique way. And it's a kind of, there's a little bit of a Hollywood component too. Like I want to see the cool video of my condo. I want to
Right.
see that. Right. And I love that people are so into their job like you that you're like, no, we're going to do this. This is fun. This is exciting. We're going to do
Mhm.
this. And it is fun and exciting and it does help. So I think, yeah, just being different, do more, I guess is
Yeah.
probably the end of the really the bottom line is just be willing to do more than the average agent. And, again, everybody likes people love when they feel understood and they feel, and I think too, like I think most people want to hear the truth. And I think agents, would do themselves a favor by saying, you're probably not going to always like the news I'm going to share with you. You're certainly not. There's going to be a time when I'm going to share something with you that's true and you're not going to like it. And we're going to get through it. I promise we're going to get through it. It's part of the deal. Every transaction has one of those moments. And just prepping people in advance. And I know you are exceptionally good at that. And anyway, we should just tell everybody Carrie's been on our show now for 5 or 6, I think 6 years. We
Mhm.
appreciate her. We love her. She does not have time to do this, guys. She has 50 active listings,
I
no
love
team.
being here. I wish I could be with you all day.
I wish I could. I want to see what you do all day. And also too, remember that every communication you have with another agent is remembered. So remember, if you're texting, if you're emailing, if you're not doing it voice to voice, before you hit that send, think about, if I was the other agent, how might I interpret this? Is my communication going to be received effectively? Or do I need to change some words around to make it seem more pleasant or more friendly? ChatGPT is very good at this. So if you have to deliver bad news, you could throw it in there, say, maybe make it a little bit friendlier. But this is really important because people remember those little interactions. Everybody remembers the interactions they've had with the agents they don't like,
Yep.
and they sort of stain and stick around. So
It's so
be
true.
nice to everyone, especially now. It's harder than ever right now to sort of do everything. So let's be nice to each other and work together. Carrie, if anyone out there would like to work with you, or maybe they have clients that are moving to the Chicagoland area that you could help, what would be the best way that another agent could reach out to say, hey, I want to send some business over to you?
Well, I always love phone calls because, again, just like the cadence of conversation and tone of their voice, I always love just to chat with people. So I always say, call me 312-961-4612. But email's just as easy, or texting's just as easy as well.
And if you want to congratulate Carrie, she's on pace to have her best year ever. We'll see what happens. Again, whatever happens by the end of the year, but she is doing exceptionally well again, and possibly having her very best year ever. And this is not an easy year to have your best year ever. So congratulations to Carrie. Follow her on Instagram. Carrie McCormick RE is the Instagram account. Carrie
Oh,
McCormick
Carrie
RE.
McCormick,
I'm sorry.
Carrie McCormick Real Estate is
I'm
it.
sorry. Carrie McCormick Real Estate is Instagram. Sorry. CarrieMcCormickRE.com is her website as well. Yeah. Check her out on Instagram. This is why, well, one of the reasons why she wins so much business is how much care she puts into her public persona, her public social media following. And it's really pretty impressive. She does it all herself as well. Doesn't use an agency. So even more impressive. All right. Visit her at Carrie on Instagram, Carrie McCormick Real Estate, and Carrie McCormick RE.com. Carrie, thank you once again. We will see everybody on the next episode. Thanks, Carrie.